A shock to the system. The unraveling of a friendship. The year 2025 will be remembered as the moment the world's longest undefended border suddenly felt a lot less friendly. A storm of economic conflict erupted between the United States and Canada, two nations long defined by deep integration and shared history. It all began on February 1, 2025. President Donald Trump announced sweeping tariffs on Canadian goods. The move was sudden and severe. 25% tariffs on most imports, a 10% tax targeted Canadian energy products, an economic declaration of war that sent shockwaves through Ottawa and across Canada. Canada refused to buckle. Mark Carney, sworn in March 9, 2025, pledged resistance. In a show of defiance, Canada retaliated, initially targeting $30 billion of U.S. goods. As the dispute spiraled, that figure ballooned to $155 billion within weeks. The escalating economic hostilities created a deep chill in a relationship once taken for granted. For Canada, the realization was stark. Reliance on its southern neighbor had become a vulnerability. Jobs were threatened in key sectors like auto, steel, lumber. The conflict reached a fever pitch over a seemingly minor issue: a television ad. An Ontario anti-tariff ad featured former U.S. President Ronald Reagan criticizing tariffs. President Trump called the ad fraudulent and abruptly terminated all trade negotiations with Canada. This unprecedented move underscored the volatility of the situation. For Canadian leaders, it was a clear signal the old rules of diplomacy no longer applied. The American partnership, once the bedrock of Canadian policy, was now a source of profound uncertainty and risk. It was time for Canada to look elsewhere. Prime Minister Carney publicly set a bold new goal: to double Canada's non-US exports over the next decade. The strategy was clear: diversify away from the volatile American market, forge stronger ties with other global players. This wasn't just about economics, it was about national sovereignty and security. Every aspect of the Canada-US relationship was under review, including long-standing commitments in national defense. The ground was shifting, and with it, the very foundations of North American security. The stakes had changed dramatically. Section 2. The fighter jet dilemma. An alliance in question. For years, the cornerstone of Canada's future air defense strategy was the American F-35 Lightning II. The plan was to acquire a fleet of 88 of these advanced, fifth-generation stealth fighters from U.S. defense giant Lockheed Martin. This commitment was seen as a logical step, reinforcing decades of close military cooperation within NORAD NATO. The F-35 was meant to be the aircraft that would carry the Royal Canadian Air Force for the next generation, ensuring interoperability with its most important ally. However, as the trade war with the United States intensified, this once solid commitment began to look less like a strategic partnership and more like a risky dependency. The F-35 program was already facing scrutiny at home long before the trade dispute. A 2024 report from Canada's Auditor General had delivered some sobering news. The total acquisition cost for the 88 jets had soared to an estimated CAD $27.7 billion, a staggering 46% increase from the estimates just 2 years prior. This ballooning price tag sparked a heated public and political debate about the affordability and wisdom of the purchase. With the Canadian economy now under pressure from U.S. tariffs, the prospect of pouring billions into an American defense program became increasingly difficult to justify. The escalating costs, combined with the souring political climate, created a perfect storm of doubt. This growing unease in Ottawa opened the door for alternatives. Suddenly, a new player entered the conversation, offering a different path forward. On April 6, 2025, Mikael Johansson, the CEO of Swedish defense manufacturer Saab, confirmed active negotiations with the Canadian government. The subject of these talks was the JAS-39 Gripen E, a highly capable and modern fourth-generation fighter jet. Saab's pitch was tailored to address Canada's newfound anxieties, emphasizing full national sovereignty over the aircraft's operations maintenance crucial software upgrades, a stark contrast to the restrictive U.S. model for the F-35. The news that Canada was formally exploring the Gripen sent a powerful message. It was a clear signal that Ottawa was no longer willing to have its defense procurement dictated by a relationship that had turned adversarial. Defense Minister Bill Blair publicly stated that the government was reassessing whether the F-35 contract truly remained the best option for the nation. This wasn't just about finding a more affordable fighter jet, it was a strategic pivot. Canada was leveraging its largest military procurement in decades to assert its independence and explore a future where its security wasn't solely reliant on the goodwill of its increasingly unpredictable American neighbor. The game had changed. Well, the choices before Ottawa were suddenly very different. Section 1. The Swedish Challenger. A smart fighter for a smart nation. Enter the JAS 39 Gripen E, the Swedish Challenger poised to disrupt North America's biggest defense procurement in a generation. At its core, the Gripen is a modern, single-engine, multi-role fighter aircraft designed for the 21st century battlespace. But to describe it merely in technical terms is to miss the point of its appeal. Saab has marketed the Gripen not just as a piece of hardware, but as a complete philosophy of air power. It is designed to be a smart fighter, technologically advanced, affordable to buy, economical to fly, and simple to maintain. This approach contrasts sharply with the F-35's reputation, a platform so complex and expensive that it strains the budgets and logistical chains of even the wealthiest nations. The Gripen E boasts capabilities that make it a formidable competitor. It is equipped with an advanced active electronically scanned array radar, a sophisticated electronic warfare suite, and the ability to carry a wide array of modern weaponry, including long-range air-to-air missiles like the Meteor. Its data link and sensor fusion capabilities allow it to network seamlessly with other assets in the air and on the ground, creating a comprehensive picture of the battlefield. While it does not possess the all-aspect stealth of the F-35, it incorporates a low-observable design and a powerful electronic warfare system designed to jam and deceive enemy radars, offering a different, but still highly effective approach to survivability. One of the Gripen's most lauded features is its remarkably low operational and lifecycle cost. Saab claims the Gripen E has the lowest cost per flight hour of any modern Western fighter. This is achieved through fuel-efficient engine design, a focus on reliability, and a maintenance philosophy that emphasizes speed and simplicity. For a country like Canada, with its vast territory and a need to generate a high number of flight hours for pilot training and sovereignty patrols, this is a compelling economic argument. The promise is a larger, more active air force for the same or even less money than a smaller fleet of F-35s would cost to operate over the long term. This combination of advanced capability and economic pragmatism formed the core of Saab's pitch. The Gripen was presented as the sensible choice for a pragmatic nation. It offered a way for the Royal Canadian Air Force to modernize and meet its commitments without being financially crippled by the purchase. It was a fighter jet that could perform the mission effectively while respecting the constraints of a taxpayer-funded defense budget. In the context of the F-35's spiraling costs and the economic pressure from the U.S. trade war, the Gripen's message of affordable, sustainable power was perfectly timed, resonating strongly with a Canadian government desperately seeking a smarter path forward. Section 1. A fork in the road. Canada stands at a monumental strategic crossroads, where the choice of a new fighter jet has become a decision about the nation's very identity and its place in the 21st century world. The path ahead diverges into three distinct possibilities: cost, sovereignty, alliance politics. First option: stay the course, purchase 88 American F-35s. This would be the path of least resistance for military interoperability, reaffirming the historic defense partnership with the United States. But in the wake of the 2025 trade war, this would mean deepened dependency on an unpredictable ally, sacrificing national autonomy for the sake of alliance cohesion, and pouring billions into the economy of a nation that has proven itself a hostile economic actor. Second option, a complete pivot to the Swedish Gripen. This path represents a bold declaration of Canadian independence. Opting for the Gripen would grant Ottawa sovereign control of its air force. It would foster a strategic industrial partnership with Sweden and deliver a highly capable fighter at a fraction of the F-35's life cycle cost. This aligns with the Carney government's mandate to diversify away from the United States. The trade-off would be navigating perceived risks of breaking from the American military-industrial complex. It would require Canada to forge a new path on interoperability and accept a future where its primary air defense asset is not shared with its next-door neighbor, a symbolic and practical departure from decades of defense policy. The third, more complex scenario involves a mixed fleet approach. Canada could buy a smaller number of F-35s to maintain a core capability for high-end coalition operations, while supplementing the fleet with more Gripens for domestic sovereignty patrols and day-to-day duties, balancing alliance commitments and the desire for cost-effectiveness and operational flexibility. Yet it risks creating the worst of both: immense logistical and training burdens operating two different fighter fleets. Such a decision could be a costly, complicated half measure, satisfying no one. Ultimately, the decision facing Ottawa is not merely technical, but deeply philosophical. It is a referendum on risk. Is the greater risk tethering Canada's national security to a volatile and overbearing superpower, or charting a more independent course alongside other like-minded middle powers? The F-35 represents the familiar comfort of the status quo, increasingly uncomfortable and constraining. The Gripen represents the uncertainty of a new direction, greater freedom, self-reliance, control over Canada's own destiny. The choice made will echo for decades, defining the future of the Royal Canadian Air Force and the nation it protects. Section 2. The verdict. Weighing the evidence, the conclusion becomes clear. While the F-35 offers unparalleled stealth and deep integration with the U.S. military, its crippling costs, restrictive operational model, the toxic political climate from which it emerges, make it a strategically unsound choice for the Canada of 2025. The economic warfare waged by the United States has irrevocably broken the trust required for such a deep, decades-long partnership. To proceed with the F-35 would be to reward aggression and accept a subordinate role, ignoring the stark lessons of the trade war. The path of least resistance is, in this case, the path of greatest vulnerability. The verdict, therefore, leans decisively in favor of Sweden. A full commitment to the Gripen E/F offers Canada a trifecta of strategic advantages that the F-35 simply cannot match. First, it provides a faster and more certain path to regaining control over its national defense. The promise of full sovereignty over maintenance and upgrades insulates the Royal Canadian Air Force from the political whims of Washington, ensuring the fleet can be adapted to meet Canadian needs on a Canadian timeline. It is the only option that guarantees true technological independence. This autonomy, once a niche concern, has become a paramount strategic imperative in the current geopolitical environment, making the Gripen the superior choice for securing Canada's long-term security interests. Second, the Gripen delivers far greater and more secure industrial benefits. The Saab proposal is not just about buying jets. It is about building a collaborative aerospace ecosystem with a reliable partner, guaranteed job creation, technology transfer integration into a global supply chain, offer a concrete plan to strengthen Canada's economy and foster domestic innovation. This stands in stark contrast to the uncertain and subordinate role offered to Canadian industry within the F-35 program. In an era where economic security is national security, the Gripen deal represents a direct investment in Canada's future prosperity, turning a defense expenditure into a powerful engine for economic growth and diversification. Finally, choosing the Gripen is a powerful political statement. It is a declaration that Canada will not be bullied and that it is charting a new, more independent course on the world stage. It reduces a critical dependency on a strained and unreliable American relationship while building new bridges with partners in Europe and beyond. While some may argue about the marginal technical differences between the two jets, the bigger picture reveals a clearer truth. The Gripen option gives Canada what it needs most right now: Faster control, better industrial returns. A decisive step away from a toxic dependency. In the contest between the Gripen and the F-35, the real winner would be Canada itself.